people see Stoicism and they look at things like music and relationships and community and beauty, and they say, well, like, how can you say that music is an indifferent, right? And so they sort of take a step back from it because they feel like because it's an indifferent means that I, as a Stoic, cannot be a musician, right? And of course that's wrong. You can, I mean, I'm a musician. I'm a musician, right? But nevertheless, I do think that there is that crucial misunderstanding when people come into it, that because it's an indifferent means that they cannot value it particularly. Okay. So like what do you think about that? Because I feel like so many people come into it and they feel like they have to let go of things that they love. Like they might have a passion in music, for example. And I've said this before, if I had to choose between Stoicism and music, Stoicism would be gone because music, I was brought up on music. Mm-hmm. Luckily, Stoicism doesn't ask you to make that choice. It just has to be used in an appropriate way. But what do you say to someone who has a passion and wants to come into Stoicism, but maybe are struggling with implementation, I suppose, in the Stoic framework?
Well, I mean, the first thing is you have to understand what an indifferent means, because an indifferent means simply that it has no bearing on your moral character, right?
Right.
It's neither good or bad. It could be used for good or bad, and arguably, music can be used for good and bad. Music can be used to get you to feel a connection with other humans that you might not otherwise feel, to aspire. You know, I've had a lot of people comment about the music riff at the beginning of Stoicism on Fire. A lot of people like that because it's very uplifting. Yeah. But music can also be very base. I mean, a lot of modern music is just, it's borderline pornographic, you know, I mean, right. So music can go either way. So music in itself is just an indifferent. But again, even something that's an indifferent doesn't mean that it's indifferent to me, that I'm indifferent to it. My wife isn't indifferent to me. My wife has no bearing on my moral character, but I don't treat her indifferently. Those are two different things. And yeah, certainly there are some things that you could say, well, arguably that particular passion might be incompatible with the virtues. You know, we could think of some of those things. My passion is to rob banks. Okay, that's not going to be compatible. You know, my passion is to rule over people, to have power. Well, that's not compatible with virtue. You know, there's lots of things that we could say are passion, but there's a lot of things that we can say, yeah, it could be used for good or bad. Money is the prime example. Money isn't indifferent, but money can be used to do very good things, and it can also be used to create great harm. Political power can be used to do wonderful things to help other humans. Political power can also be used destructively. Media, social media connects us in ways that we've never been connected before as human beings, and can be very positive. Social media can also be very destructive and causes some kids in schools to commit suicide because of the things that are said to them and about them on social media. So I think we get maybe hung up on, well, it's an indifferent. So the idea that something is an indifferent does not necessarily mean it's something that I have to reject out of my life, ignore, abandon, and has no value to me. I guess that's the bottom line.
Yeah, that's really well said. And I think if people understood that, people would be more willing to sort of even consider Stoicism as a philosophy, as a way of life.